Again, and hello, it's Vo, and welcome back to Turbine City. Last time we were eyeing up some changes to the river, doing some terraforming to the riverbed. Watched it for a little while. We definitely need to sort of raise the riverbed in the middle. At the sides where we've smoothed it out, we're losing some water. We're not able to pump it out with our water pumps. So I'll try and even out the very bottom of the river. We do want to create a sort of slope, so I'll raise the terrain at the very back by a fair chunk. Then we can taper down a little bit. That'll help raise the general level of the river. We'll watch out for it spilling over the sides and flooding our city. If it does, we can sort it out fairly quickly. Shouldn't cause any lasting damage. But we've got time. We're saving up money so we can finish off putting in all the monuments. Our population's still soaring upwards, so I'm fine to just work on this for a bit, accumulate some money and some more citizens. So we'll try and taper it down, create a gradual decline in the terrain, bring it down to the river mouth at the sea level. This will help with the flow of the water. Obviously we're pumping it out with the water pumps, but we're not putting it back in with our no pollute outflow pipes. There's going to be generally less water, so we can add another water source if we want to. Generally if we take it down to the smallest water capacity, that's the best to work with. We don't want to add too much water. We can add a water source, and you click on it and hold on it and drag it down. And that'll stop the water level rising up above the sides, stop flooding. Looks like some water is spilling off into the sides. But yeah, we'll just get into terraforming. Find some levels from the side of hills until we find just the right level to help channel the water into the right place. Just use the smooth tool a lot. Smooth out all the edges. And if we smooth out the sides too much, and the water stops getting to our water pumps, or our ferry stops, or ferry terminals, we can just lower it again at that one spot. Bring it back down so the water flows into where we need it to. Yeah, it just takes a lot of playing about with when you're working with the water. The water physics are amazing in the city skylines. But every time you make a change, you have to really wait a couple of seconds for the water to even itself out and decide what it's going to do before you make any other adjustments. So I've sped up the footage quite a bit, so we don't spend the entire episode just working on the river. As I say, it'll help the water level so it looks full all the way down, as we're taking more water out of it than we're putting back in. And hopefully, if Sunset Harbour, the DLC, comes down in price, goes on sale before we finish messing around with this city, and then we can get in those assets, and hopefully it'll provide a range of different fish, because I think that's based on the river depth and the speed of the river at the time. So randomizing the bottom of the river having it running at different depths and different rates. That That should hopefully be the best sort of setup for Sunset Harbour. So where it's flooding, we can take it down a little bit. Make some notches in the bottom. Just as I say, to properly randomise the way the river is going. Create some more natural currents. Having a more realistic river. I think that was one of Fat Boy's criticisms when he watched the first episode of making the map. But the river wasn't very realistic. So yeah, we'll do a little bit here. Hopefully appease him a little bit. Make it look nice and realistic. Certainly more varied than just a straight tube. So it's looking better already. Just let the smoothing work. I think we will need to add another water source, because we'll be pumping out far more water, especially if we continue with more industrial assets or port assets, and then move more of the outflows down to the sea, which I think would be a good plan in the medium term. It's looking better already. Try and even out this part here, just so the water is occupying the full width of the river. Just work on building up the terrain from the bottom. As I say, if we keep taking it from the sides, but leave the centre at a lower depth, it strands our assets that we've got on the sides of the river, our ferry ports and our water pumps. So we'll try and build up the middle as well. Again, create variety for the way the river runs. As long as we maintain the general flow going down towards the sea with the terrain, that should stop any strange currents with the water coming back out from the sea back into our river. So I just got to make sure all our ferry stops and things are properly submerged, so none of the ferries get stranded. Not all our water pumps are actually connecting into the water. While simultaneously building up the terrain. Let's say we can do it more in the middle. And just lots of little tweaks until we get it how we want it. Down here it's certainly a lot lower, the water from the sides, so just get some work in, start gently lifting the riverbed, as I say, without trying not to strand all our assets or any of the poor ferries that are trying to deal with the terrain changes as they're sailing down. Got a ferry that's struggling to make it. Go on, you can make it. Try and make it a little easier for them. Yeah, it's looking pretty gentle again up here. Maybe we can raise this a little bit more. Again, I'm just randomly going to go in with splodges. Maintain that lovely natural look. And then leave it for a few seconds to see if it's too much. Maybe drop it down on the side a touch, just to make sure it doesn't flood over there again. it for a few seconds, make sure that's done the job. Solve the flooding problem there. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, we need to work on this side a little bit. Try and raise the train a little bit down here. Always adds in some of the rocks for displacement. And put them in the middle, and that might force the water out either side. Or we can put them on the river banks themselves, on the slopes on the sides, like we've already done over here. It's another tactic we can use. I generally just want to get this part perfect, where we've already removed the outflow pipes. That's this first section. Get that at the maximum level before flooding. And then when we take more outflow pipes out and switch them for assets down here, I'll have to probably come back and do a little bit more. Work with the train. So down here we want to have it low, but higher than sea level. Make sure the water is still flowing down and out towards the sea, not coming back up this way. We're almost there. And getting that river level up, just right up to the edge, but without flooding. Just add a little bit more terrain. See if we can get it up there. Again, trying to dodge all these assets, so don't leave them stranded without water. This poor ferry trying to leave the terminal. He's disappeared. Magically teleported onto the next stop. Pretty much there on this side. Just a tiny touchdown to stop that flooding there. That's a much nicer level, nice and full. Maybe you'd need to do a little bit of work on this section, bringing down the sides but bringing up the middle. Make sure these ferries can still get past. Water pumps are definitely going into the water. As I say, with the water pumps taking so much out, without us putting as much back in, probably will need one or two more water sources. If you're adding water sources to a river, you can create a little pit to put them in. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. See how far we can carry the water down before we really need to add another one. As I say, if you keep it down at a very low water capacity for your water sources, you can add several, rather than adding one at full capacity and completely drowning the sea. So again, we'll bring down the sides and bring up the middle, where our poor boats are getting stranded. It looks like the flow is starting to come back up the way. So I'll try and make sure that the slope is heading back down towards the sea. There is a slope tool. If If I was back in the map editor, I'd probably use that to get the basic slope to make sure the river was going the right way. And then sort of randomize the terrain to give it a more natural look. I'll try adding another water source up here, as I say, in a little pit. As long as the level is set so that the maximum water height is below the river edge. We'll see how that fills up. Just make sure it's maximized. Decorate with some rocks while we're waiting for it to sort of fill up and see how much impact that water source has added in. Really got to wait a while to see how it's impacting your water. If you turn your back on it for a second, the whole place will be flooded. You've generally got to be quite careful when you're terraforming around water, when you've already got stuff built. I've turned off no abandonment, in the hope that that might force some of this unhappy businesses, industrial and stuff, to get customers before quitting out on us. It doesn't seem to have had the desired effect. It just means all the buildings that are dying and disappear all have the big red icons. Where we've done our terraforming, it seems to have destroyed our underwater power cables that are intermittently complaining about being underwater. I can understand, obviously, if I've terraformed and buried them too deep. That makes sense. But not that they're underwater and complaining about flooding. Not when they're designed to go underwater. Doesn't make much sense. Well, we've saved up enough for our castle. We can also afford our Hadron collider. Get that popped in here with our other super high-tech stuff. We can also afford our last one, the Eden project. I want to get that in somewhere on the industrial side of town. Find a place for it. That reduces the pollution, the ground pollution. So over here should be the best place for it. That's just got all that done. Just got these quad assets to pop in somewhere. I think we'll have to look at ploppable Rico, see if we've got anything in there that we couldn't place normally. Still got Bitficky Castle. Could get that placed next to the other castle, the Castle of Lord Chirpwick. It's pretty small scale in comparison. Get some car parks in there for visitors. And we can get the water and power all hooked up. Looks like the power in our port's gone again. And the underwater power cables are complaining about being underwater. Don't know if we need to resort to normal power lines. And just focus on going on the land rather than trying to use the underwater functionality of the cables. Certainly very strange. Actually, underwater cables flooding. I've never seen that. I've been using them for a long while now. Strange. Just another random behavior. Strange behaviors, mods in City Skylines. It looks like the water is flowing in both directions down to this sort of central point here. Maybe we want to raise the train again on the left. So bring it down. Make sure that the water sort of rolls back in the right direction. Again, I don't want to work on this a whole episode. We've got the more work to do. Once we get those port assets in, move more of the outflow pipes. We'll have to do more work on the river anyway. I want to sort of wait till that's done. Now that we've got all the unique buildings and the monuments in, I think the focus maybe goes to sorting out all these complaints, all these red icons. If I turn off the no abandonment, I'll get rid of some of them because we'll allow them to disappear. I think for the tourism areas down here, I think maybe we chop back the zoning just so there's less commercial areas dedicated to tourism into the entertainment and leisure. If we chop that back, hopefully there'll be less spread, you know, the demand will be equal to the amount we've got zoned. We're certainly closer to it. That's the main tactic for that. And then the industrial, again, sort of chop back the areas or convert them over to specialist industrial. Just paint in some natural resources with our resource painter. But things are definitely going in the right direction again. People are happier with the city than ever now that we've got all this stuff in. Sort of maximise the appeal of the city with all the stuff that we could put in. Guess we just need to sort of improve public services if we can. And public transport, give them any more options that we haven't previously used. I used the monorail once in a previous build, but I found it was noisy. And I switched over to the noise-free underground stations. Maybe get a second water source in here. Again, just down at the lowest water capacity. Just try and maintain that river level where it's being soaked out. So they're complaining about flooding down there, but they're still intact. We're all good. I'm going to turn off Demand Master. I don't think we need that just now. I'm going to turn that back on if we want to get more stuff growing back in. We'll turn off our no abandonment. I think that's everything. We can look at more of the mods once we've sorted out all the problems. I'll have a go at reducing the zoning a little bit. Then we can come back and turn some of this stuff on. I think this is the first area I want to work on. Chop this back a bit. Just go along the roads with a right click. I'll just trim these areas back a little bit. And they'll remain zoned for commercial, just not specialist. And if any of the unique buildings have fallen out of the zone after we've trimmed it back, you can always move them if there's still complaints. We want to replace some more of the buildings. Let's chop this back. Hopefully that'll help. Get rid of this generic industrial as well. Redevelop this area a little bit. That'll help it in the long run. Take it back all the way to here, I think. See how that goes. I'm running out of time, so I'll come back in the next episode and pick up where we left off. Until then, take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.